Chapter 19. Amelia was tired. Not physically, she got enough sleep last night and ate healthy food, and delicious too, so there is no reason for her body to be exhausted. It was her mind that was tired, and she was exhausted mentally. For the last 2 days, she saw Aaron lying on the bed, helpless, trapped, hurt, and in pain. He almost died after all, so close to death, his body almost like a boiling pot. Had she and Rem not been there to help him? No, no. Don't go there. Don't go there. Amelia shook her head, eyes clenched tightly, and banished the idea. There's no way she will go there. Aaron won't be gone, he won't die, he is strong. Indeed, he is not invincible, she isn't that naive to believe so, but she knew that if he goes down, it will be kicking and screaming, or something like that, according to Rem. He will still show that he is defiant to the last. That he is powerful, strong, and never gives up in the face of an adversary. And yet he almost died yesterday. Then to make matters worse, this morning, when she visited him, he woke up. That was supposed to be a good thing, a joyous moment, at least after 2 days in a coma and burning himself, he finally woke up. He was fine. He was back. Except he did not. When he woke up, he did not smile at her like always, nor did he talk and try to reassure her with his gentle, and teasing, words, and he did not look at her with the usual caring and tender eyes. He woke up with a scream. A scream that filled with terror and pure horror. Not only that but also madness. He was shrieking and shouting incoherently, yelling with eyes bloody red and filled with utter horror while clawing himself as if something was biting and crawling beneath his skin. They tried to comfort him in an instant, they were there for him. They cast a healing spell on him, trying to calm him down, but it was useless. Even Beatrice can't do anything. The moment they try to heal him, his unique magic resistance thrown them away violently, something that never happened until now. They never have problem healing him after all. When they try to calm his fever using magic day ago is proof of that, and it shocked him just how potent that is to be able to repel Beatrice. They tried to use sedatives, but they are afraid of how his body will react seeing his strange magic resistance pretty much nearly kill him yesterday and seeing he keep hurting himself, and they don't have any option left with only one option, using physical means, albeit she and Rem are very reluctant to do that. Alas, it was met with the same result. They tried to knock him out but it was not working. Ram's frying pan that broke can testify that. The pink oni hit him in the head many times until it bent and broke, but it was not working. That actually made Amelia realize just how tough Aaron truly is in the first place. He is not a normal human after all, his strength and speed is proof of that, so his endurance is surely as strong as them. Though he was not immune to piercing but to blunt force, Aaron's is clearly far tougher than anything she has ever seen. And in the end it take Puck himself who pick a gigantic rock and drop it in his head. Fortunately that worked, though it left Beatrice a bit exhausted since she have to teleport them to somewhere to pick the boulder and transport them back to the manor. It has been a few hours, now already close to noon, and he still is not showing any sign he will wake up again. And perhaps it would be better if he didn't wake up for now. It's not like she doesn't want him to wake up, but she is not ready to see him behave like that, not ready to see him feral like that, not wanting to see him in that condition. She doesn't want to see him so broken. Aaron, she murmured as she grasped his hand, firmly gripping it, trying to seek any comfort from the unconscious man who now had bandages wrapped around his fingers, an injury that he just got due to scratching himself until his nails broke. Just seeing them make Amelia's heart ache. Knock. Knock. A knock from the door broke her from her own mind. She briefly turned to the door before looking back at Aaron. After a moment of consideration she released her grip from him and walked to the door. Opening it, she granted by sight of a familiar blue-haired girl. "Oh, Rem." She greeted her as she came out of the room. "What's wrong?" she asked while closing the door behind her. "Rem here to remind Amelia-sama that now is her study time." Rem informed her. Puck-sama told Rem to remind Amelia same, remember? Ah, yes. She remembered. She can forget the time when she stayed with Aaron. Yesterday she was staying on his side until dinner and not even realizing it. Needless to say, Puck was not happy and he goes to Rem and Ram to call her when she stays on his side so she does not forget her schedule again. "I will be there," the half-elf said with a sigh. "Let me see Aaron again for a moment, okay?" It was useless and a waste of time, but seeing him, even if he's unconscious, somehow able to lift some unseen weight from her shoulder. "Sure, Rem will be waiting." The silver-haired girl nodded before she turned back to the room, opening the door and promptly freeze in where she stands. The blue-haired maid who sees the royal candidate stop moving blinked, curiosity growing inside her, and she takes a few steps forward so she can see what is causing Amelia to stop like that. And she also froze when saw what the half-elf saw. He was there. But no longer laying in bed. He was up. Sitting in bed, his face blank and emotionless hollow, his hair a bit messy from sleeping for so long. He slowly turns to them and they can see there is hollowness inside those green eyes, but it only for a moment as a light slowly returns to them when he catches sight of them. Emmy. Aryem. His voice was dry and raspy, as if he just spoke again after a very long time. But to Amelia and Aryem, his voice right now is the best sound he ever let out until now. They can feel their eyes become wet, their visions become blurred, a strange noise comes out from their mouth as they gazed at the man who can be considered to be one of the most precious people in their lives. Aaron, who stared at the duo, was confused why they are displaying such faces. It was when his brain finally done comprehending what happened that his eyes widened and he paled a bit. Oh shit. He didn't get any chance to do or say anything before a blur of silver and blue crashed into him. Not this again. He is still not responding to us. He hardly blinks. They will abandon you. Sorry for rushing at you like that, it's just I'm so glad you're finally awake. She sounded so embarrassed and apologetic as she saying that. I don't know, it's almost like his body is here but his mind is somewhere else. You will abandon them. It's okay, I kinda get it though. I replied absent-mindedly as I rubbed my chest to soothe the crushing sensation I felt a moment ago. We can't bring him with us. That thing after him, right? Then it's better to leave him alone. No. I won't abandon him. We can't just leave him here. It's all your fault, your foolishness. Ah. Her face turned to more red as she fidgeted under my stare. Still. It doesn't change the fact that I'm hurting you. I mean, you are. You, and everyone else, are pawns of unseen force. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't want to do this. I'm sorry. But better things end like this rather than him caught you. I'm sorry, Aaron, I'm so sorry. It's fine, Amelia. I replied while waving my hand nonchalantly. Seriously, it's not like I'm going to die from your hug. A quietness descended after I said that. It stretched for almost a minute and I did not try to make any conversation, letting them pull out what they have in their minds first. Aaron? Yes? You've been staring at the wall for 10 minutes. I blinked, once, twice. Did I? I tilt my head and meet Amelia face to face. You're right. I said. I did not realize it. I muttered. It was an interesting wall. Aaron-sama. This time it was Rem who spoke, her voice laced with concern. It's just a wall. Why, yes it is. What makes it interesting? It's normal. Another silence stretched into the room. I'm perfectly aware how both of them now look at each other with concerned faces, they do not even try to hide it after all. Sorry. I said, trying to make it sincere, but in truth I'm not. It's just. My head kinda messed up right now. When I meet Cthulhu. Seeing his eyes. I feel the world is changing. I don't know. Everything. It was a mess. Everything. It was unnatural. Not normal. Not right. Not true. A fake. It was wrong. The world is wrong. Everything is wrong. My whole life feels wrong. My very existences. I visibly shudder as I recall the Lovecraft monster giant figure. Great gods, I am never afraid of them. I mean, the only reason they are only scary for me is because they look too grotesque and ugly, but after meeting Cthulhu, I will never be able to see the world in the same way again. Aaron? Amelia's voice broke me from my mind and I turned to her, her face still confronted with a worried expression. Yes? What is it this time? You're trembling. Do I? I looked down at my hands and found she was right, my hands were shaking badly. I did not feel it before but now I can, I even feel the sweat that covers them. I'm not unfamiliar with fear. I felt them every single day the moment I came to this world. Fear of my life. Fear of failure. Fear of changing everything beyond my knowledge. Fear of losing Amelia because if she died then I'm as good as done. Fear of losing Rem and Ram, because if they lose then I don't think I can handle it like Subaru. But right now, what I feel, what I fear right now, make all of my fears look like harmless kitten. Eren-sama, perhaps it is better if you rest. I feel Rem's hand on my shoulder, giving me a slight nudge to emphasize her point. I did not care about that, rather my eyes focused on her hand. Her left hand. Her left hand, that still exists. That is not a bloody stump. Eren-sama. It's still there. It's still connected to her body. It's still whole. And she does not look sick or pale. She's still healthy. She is. Eren-sama. Eren? The high pitch of Emilia and Rem's voices finally broke me from my stupor, again, and I blinked. It was at that time I realized I'm holding Rem's hand while my other hand was touching her face. Ah. I released my grip in an instant, pulling back slightly from her. Sorry Rem, I didn't mean to. And no, it's fine. Rem brushes away my apology easily, she seems very happy rather than embarrassed despite the redness in her face. Rem doesn't mind if Eren-sama wants to touch Rem, Eren-sama can do that anytime he wishes. Is that so? I give her a small smile of amusement. Normally I will feel embarrassed or sputtering but I feel my mind right now is not in the right condition. Eren. It was Emilia's turn to call me. I think you need rest, you look. I'm fine Emmy, granted my head right now feels strange but I cut myself from speaking further as I shook my head. Alright, I'm maybe not alright and need rest, but can you two tell me what exactly happens when I'm unconscious? They seemed reluctant to tell me anything and only wanted me to rest, however in the end they did nonetheless. They told me what happened, and just like I expected, they told me about how my own magic core almost fried me from inside, how I was unconscious straight for 2 days. It feels strange to hear the same explanation once again, not like it was a miss since when I'm studying I always repeat things to memorize them. What I mean strange is, it is almost like déjà vu. But I know it is not. I was dead. Yesterday. I was dead. I got killed. I was dead. And it's bothering me beyond anything else. Save for Cthulhu of course for obvious reasons. But this morning. You wake up and... Wake up? I asked. Now that was a new one. I did. I do not remember such things. They both become uncomfortable at my question and from there I take it whatever happened when I woke up it was not pleasant for them. However they still tell me nonetheless, albeit it was clear they really don't like it. And boy they was right. Not just them who did not like it, I did too. Screaming? I asked again, voice filled with bewilderment. Yes. Rem is the one who answered, Emilia seems to be having a hard time speaking about it. When Eren-sama awoke, Eren-sama started to scream incoherently and hurt himself. Eren-sama did that straight for almost an hour and we need to knock you out so you stop. Well. That was. How the hell am I going to say it? Ominous is not enough words to describe that after all, how about adding a mega super double on it? Okay, now I'm sure there's something wrong in my head if I think like that. Well. That was very obvious, I mean, I just faced Cthulhu a moment ago. If there's nothing wrong with my head after that then I have to question my own sanity. Eren. Emilia began, voice filled with hesitation and concern. Do you remember what happened? Why you? God damn. This is clearly escalating too fast. Quick Eren. Buy some time. Find a good alibi. Can't say I did but... I trailed off, trying to find a good word and thankfully I found one, I will tell you about it later. I said, after I'm taking a bath. I added quickly when Emilia's mouth opened to protest. I've been in bed for 2 days, Emmy. I want to go to the bath now, mainly to, relieving myself. Emily stared at me with blank face for a few seconds before she realized what I was implying, her face scrunched a bit and she coughed. Alright. Bath. Yes. Cute. And Rem, I want to eat. I said to the maid, prepare a small feast for me. Yes Eren-sama, Rem shall prepare the best food for Eren-same. The maid nodded vigorously. Good, oh and also, call everyone to gather in the dining room, okay? I want to explain what the hell actually happened to them as well so I don't have to explain everything twice. Yes. I turned to Amelia, who looked unsure. She seemed to want to say something but hesitated. Seeing this, I decided to help her. Is there something you want to say, Emmy? Amelia stared at me, her uncertain face slowly turning to one of slight firm expressions. Aaron, I think it will be best if you do not do anything right now. She suggested. I mean, you're injured pretty badly, and your mental condition is. I'm not crazy, Emmy. I said in a dry voice. That's not what I mean, and you know it. She snapped at me with glare. Wow, since when did she start to show teeth like this? Aaron, whatever happened to you clearly also attacks your mind as well, even if your body is fine now, but your head is another thing. I am about to say I'm fine, but I held back those words. If I said that it would make Amelia snap, she may not show it now, but I'm sure she would be really angry and worry. She's also worried about me, so I can't just brush her like I did before. Carefully, I chose my words and responded. I know you're worried, and I'm also aware that I'm not in a healthy condition. There, tell her that she's right first, then go for the reason, but what I am about to explain, I am about to inform you all, is really important. Even surpassing the witch cult's attack a few days ago. Both Amelia and Rem stiffened when hearing that. The silver-haired half-elf narrowed her eyes at me and frowned. Rem and Ram were patrolling the area around the village, Aaron, and they did not find anything that suspicious. Their target is not only you, Emmy. I said grimly. You are one of their goals, the biggest, but they are not only after you. I explained. Look, I will explain more later, but at least you realize that this is something that can't be left alone, so let me take a bath first, okay? She's certainly not okay with that. I can see it as clear as day, however she seems willing to accept my proposal for now, since clearly no harm done to me from taking bath and eating. Alright. She nodded in acceptance. I will be waiting then. You talk like I'm going to escape or go away. I replied while rolling my eyes. Now off you two, I want to take a bath. I said while ushering them and hopping off from my bed. Both of them give one last look to me before leaving the room together, and I waste no time to strip, take a towel and cloth from the cabinet, then enter the bathroom. Turning on the hot water, I allow the warm liquid to wash over me as I close my eyes and take deep breath too. It was inhumane, unnatural, illogical. A being that twisted. A creature that is wrong on so many levels. Its eyes were stationary and blurred, the color they possess can't be described with mortal words. And that abomination staring at him, at his soul, at his very existence, and... I let out loud gasp as my eyes snapped open in an instant. My knee felt like it was boneless as I dropped down to the wet floor. I felt bile rise to my throat, and it took everything I had to not empty my stomach right there. I feel my breath become unstable, they come out faster than normal. I feel cold despite the warm water washing over me. I feel terror and unsafe despite there's no one in here save for myself. Gods. Great gods. Cthulhu. Even just muttering that came out from my mouth makes me shudder, and I can't help but hug myself, like a child terrified from their nightmare. Fuck, 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 fuck. I punched the wall on my side, easily breaking it and making a crater and crack in there. My eyes opened wide and I felt my whole body shaking. Don't fucking kidding with me. Seriously? Seriously? Cthulhu. A motherfucking Cthulhu? What in name of nine hell just happened back there? It's not witches, not demon beast, but it's Cthulhu. Cthulhu. Are you joking with me? What kind of twisted thing this world throw me into? Facing a witch cult is one thing. Facing an army also won't matter. But Cthulhu? How? How am I going to beat that? I'm not a fan of Lovecraft, I barely know anything about them. But even I know Cthulhu is a monster that even surpasses all archbishops of sins and all witches combined together. Yes, including Envy. He is a destroyer of the world for God's sake. Even Reinhard van Astria lost against him. So how in the name of all gods that exist out there I can beat him? This. Even if I manage to gather the whole Lugnica. There's still a big chance we are all going to die. No, we are still going to die for sure. Unlike everything in Re-Zero or other movies. Cthulhu is not a beast, he is not a monster, what he is. Force of universe. He is not something you can fight. He is something you have to survive from. I let out a snort. Yeah, good luck with that. Who the hell will ever survive from Cthulhu? Oh, right, no one. So. This is it. This is the end. This is. As far as I can go. It's not like I'm giving up or what, no. What I mean is. This level of impossibility is so absurd. It is not like Hakugiai that can actually be brought down by the army. Cthulhu was on a whole different level. Even Reinhard van Astria, who is stronger than Saber and pretty much comparable to Gilgamesh without ego in Naciverse, is losing against him. Granted, I doubt Reinhard can produce an attack that is capable of wiping out this planet like EA, but his invincibility is still something that is noteworthy. And this world wants me to face that creature. It was like trying to push Shiro Amiya before the Grail War against Heracles. And we know just how ridiculous that idea is. This isn't a fight you can win. This is. Even if I survive from Cthulhu, what then? Lugnica is as good as destroyed. I need to move out from this place, but to where? The only place that is available is Kuraraji, but with Lugnica falling, the status quo between the kingdom will change and war will engulf this world. Fuck. Just. The water that is washing over me is warm, enough to create steam from their temperature, but in my whole life, I never felt so cold like this. She was happy that he's waking up, she truly did. She even shed tears of joy just seeing him wake up and can talk like normal again. He looks tired, so tired, but at least he is waking up and no longer at risk of dying or such things. She already prepared food for him. She picked his favorite, steaks that were covered with special butter, roasted chickens with sauce, and baked potatoes that were seasoned with cheese and garlic. Everything that is special for him. He is hero that just saved the village after all and single-handedly brought down the whole faction of witch cult with cunning strategy, so it is just natural for him to be given a feast like this. So with great joy, she placed every food she cooked to the table, Big Sister, Lady Amelia and Lady Beatrice already in there. Since they were not too hungry, she made ice cream for them for a snack and accompanied him to eat. And the reactions of the people about this are various. Lord Puck, while not too happy but obviously glad that Aaron finally awakened. So does Lady Beatrice, despite her trying to hide it, but Rem is perfectly aware that Lady Beatrice is happy he finally awakens and looks fine. And her sister. Well, let it be said that Rem is not an idiot, very far from it. She knew that there was something happening between her sister and Aaron, something bad, enough to make them act like they are strangers to each other. And she knows it as well because of what happened in the capital with Lord Roswell. Her big sister's loyalty to Lord Roswell is beyond anyone, Rem won't hesitate to admit that. Granted, she is also loyal to Lord Roswell and won't hesitate to lay down her life for him, but Rem's loyalty surpasses hers. This is why she's very angry when she told her about Aaron's attack on Lord Roswell when they were in the capital. Rem in first place doesn't want to tell her, however she can't hide such a thing from her big sister, and she is also a maid of Margrave Roswell L. Mathers, so she had a duty to do and reluctantly she told her sister. And this is the result. Right now her big sister is still angry at him, though it was not as bad as before the witch cult assaults. Her big sister never makes any comment about his condition when they take care of him together, she only does her duty wordlessly, but Rem can see that there's concern in her stoic eyes. And Rem is conflicted. She won't admit it aloud, but despite his closeness to Lady Amelia, Rem is more jealous of her big sister. Her big sister is so close to Aaron, like really close, closer than to her and Lady Amelia. Aaron connected to her, but their connection is similar to one he has with Lady Amelia, a role model. Something like an ideal perhaps. Or lover, hopefully. But there is something between Aaron and Ram. A bond that both of them share together. It's like they understand each other very well, that is why perhaps they can argue for half-hour without stopping even once, because they know each other so much they can pick each other's weakness and mistakes and use it against each other. And they have only known each other for a month, yet the intimacy between them is already very high. And she is kind of jealous with that. She knew it was an ugly feeling. She has no right to have such feelings, not after what she did to her big sister, not after how much pain she caused, but... She quickly banished those thoughts, shaking her head, she focused back on her duty and placed beverages on the table. There's nothing to be gained by thinking such things. Right now it is better to focus on treating Aaron, he clearly is not fine and looks pretty beat up despite having been sleeping straight for 2 days. Hopefully her cooking can cheer him up. There's bad news and good news. The good news, the food indeed worked and cheered him up. Like always, he devours the meats and everything else with gusto. Oh, don't get her wrong. He wasn't a messy or fast eater. His manners were perfect. But the thing is, he just isn't stopping. Fast but also steady, efficient and elegant. And the more he ate, the more he seemed to get healthier and look better. The bad news is, when he came and sat on the table, he looked worse than before, like really worse. Oh, he may look cleaner, neater, fresher, but his eyes. He's always warm, confident, teasing and yet also strict eyes. They look so haunted. His mood is not bad, he clearly enjoys the food he ate and he also looks happy, but his eyes. It's wrong. She felt her heart clenched in a tight grip. It's wrong. He is not supposed to have those eyes. He. You eat like Buffon as always. Beatrice commented while wrinkling her nose. Betty won't be surprised if you get stomach pain after eating so much food in an instant like that, I suppose. Thank you for your concern, Beatrice-san. Aaron brushed off the insult and replied to her in a gentle voice. But I will be fine, I've had worse in the past. Betty is not worried about you. The little blonde huffed her cheeks. You can go bury yourself in the backyard for all I care, I suppose. Harsh as always, Beatrice-san. He chuckled in a nonchalant manner. By the way, I was thinking that there's something that we maybe can use to make that one better. He said, pointing to the ice cream that Beatrice currently eats. Are you trying to bribe Betty? Did it work? He asked with a grin. Humph. Beatrice wrinkled her nose. What a foolish and stupid things. She said. Though, Betty must say, at least there's some good from your recovery. Thank you, Beatrice-san. Betty did not compliment you. I know. The librarian's spirit shot the pseudo-saber glare, however the taller blonde only smiled charmingly at her, prompting the twin-tail-haired girl to huff her cheeks and turned away from him while eating her ice cream. Under normal circumstances Rem will giggle at their conversation. Lady Beatrice worries and is happy that Aaron is back, but she's having a hard time expressing them. He obviously knows that and not forcing her to say it aloud but thanking her nonetheless. It was cute, as expected from him. But the way his eyes looked at them. The way his eyes observe his surroundings. And it seems it is not just her who notices there's something wrong with him. Judging by how Puck and Lady Amelia glanced at him. It was clear they both also know Aaron right now has a mental problem. They are probably capable of telling that from his emotion. Rem, can I get extra rice? He asked as he raised his plate. Sure, Aaron-sama. She took the plate before filling them with rice and gave it back to him, who took another slice of meat and resumed his eating. Goodness, that makes it the 7th, isn't it? Puck commented while staring at him. You really know how to eat, Aaron. I'm sleeping for 2 days, which means I have missed 12 meals and 8 snacks. 12 meals and 8 snacks? Puck commented in a flabbergasted voice. That much in 2 days? Aaron, you only eat 3 meals per day. Amelia said with a blink. How do they increase to 6? Aaron-sama may only eat 3 meals per day, but the portion is equal to 6. Rem explained. Sometimes it is equal to 8 or 9. That much? Amelia gawked at the young man. Why do you sound so surprised? He asked while tilting his head. We always eat together. I know that, but to know the details like that was still surprising. Anyway, I think I'm done eating. He said as he placed the empty plate and wiped his mouth. Amazing as always, REM. Of course you're done eating, no more food left. Puck commented while gazing at the empty and stacked plates around the table. You said you have something to say. Amelia said while looking at Aaron directly. Something about which cult targets not only me. Yes, about that. He closed his eyes and started to rub his forehead. I might as well start from the beginning. He mumbled, it all begins when I kill that archbishop. I believe I have a guess why I fell unconscious. You do? Amelia asked with interest. Yes. Apparently that archbishop is trying to possess me and take over my body after I killed him. And your body's magic resistance instantly tries to repel him. Beatrice nodded in understanding. That makes sense. That archbishop is probably the foreign substance that invades you, I suppose. Highly possible. He said. And no thanks to that, I managed to see what possibly could happen, thus gaining more information about their operation. See what possibly could happen. Amelia repeated while blinking, once. What is that supposed to mean? She inquired. Let's just say one shouldn't try something like possession to me unless they want to be deconstructed. That sounds very ominous. The half-elf commented with a disturbed look. In any case, that is not important for now, We have more pressing matters. This entire thing isn't finished yet. It isn't? Rem queried the man. Aaron paused again, seeming caught in his memory. Their attack was indeed to target Emmy, however they were not the one who will assault her. They simply are going to burn everything and leave her alone with their supposed tester, or things like that. My tester? Amelia asked. Well, apparently the witch cult seems to want to use you as vassal to resurrect the Witch of Envy or something like that. He explained, and everyone in the room can feel the atmosphere become tense. The area around Puck seems to become colder for some reason, and to see are you worthy or not they decide to fare you against them. Grim and serious mood descended onto the room. If that is true, then clearly this is still not over, very far from it as matter of fact. Do you know who the tester is? Puck asked, voice sharp and analytical. You won't like it. Aaron closed his eyes and sighed a bit. They are those children. Children? Rem asked, sounding confused. Emmy, there were children close to where I fought the Archbishop. Aaron turned to Amelia with a firm look. Where are they now? They are currently in the village, still unconscious. Amelia answered, her eyes slowly widened as her brain began to put the puzzle together. Aaron. Are you trying to say? Those children are not what they look like. Aaron answered, his voice blank and hollow. We have to get them out from there, dispose of them as fast as possible. There was silence in the room the moment those words left his mouth. Slowly, a horrified expression appears on Amelia's face. Rem also shares a similar feeling. Even Ram, Puck and Beatrice looked disturbed by the suggestion. Aaron. Amelia did not even bother to lower her voice as she glared at him. You can't just possibly suggest we should kill them just like that. Something has been done to them, Emmy. I don't know the details since the vision is kinda blurry, but let's just say when, not if, this is inevitable, that something emerges, there won't be any villages left. Aaron replied, voice grim and solemn. What will come out is nothing but a monster, Emmy. But we still can't do such a thing like that. Aaron, they're only children. Aaron only looked at the half-elf with a blank face for a moment. Tell me, Beatrice-san, Puck Dunn, what have you two found from analyzing those children? He asked while looking at Puck and Beatrice. I found nothing much. Puck answered with a shrug. Other than there's something that prevents them from waking up, but I can't find the details. He glanced at Beatrice. Betty probably finds more about it than me. Of course Betty did. Beatrice nodded with a smug expression before it returned to her stoic face. Betty found something that prevented them from waking up. Her face now turned to scowl. Though it's not much, Betty doesn't know what it is, but it acted almost like a curse. It needed a trigger to be active. Trigger to active? Like a curse? The pseudo-saber eyes narrowed sharply at that. That means they did not transform randomly. There's someone in the village, someone that made the children turn to those monsters at that time. But at the same time it is not a curse, it is something new. Beatrice's frown deepened. Usually she would be curious or interested when crossing something new, but this matters. It gave her bad feelings for unknown reasons. Betty already started research, but has yet to find something about it, I suppose. She seems very frustrated when saying that. I see. Of course she won't find anything. They all transformed into some kind of eldritch monster. One that is so alien to the point it makes his unnatural existence like a joke. Do you know how to remove them? Unfortunately, no. Beatrice said. Betty can't remove it, it was too strange for Betty, too unfamiliar. Attempting to probe something, who is unknown, without proper preparation is foolish, I suppose. Then there's no cure for them? He asked. No, it's more like a statement than a question. The silence that was given to him by the spirit is enough to answer him, and he turned to Amelia. Is that enough reason for you? The half-elf flinched under his stare and question, her face looking like she had been slapped in the face. Oi, Aaron. Puck called. He looked nonchalant as usual, but there was a small sharpness in his voice. I don't know why you're so emotional about this, but don't you think it's kinda unfair to take it till ya? The blonde slowly turned to the cat spirit, his green eyes narrowed slightly as if challenging him, however it was only for a moment before they closed and Aaron took one deep breath. My apologies. He breathed out, my mind right now is not in the right condition. He said to Amelia, who looked at him with concern. Do you have some idea how we should deal with this situation? And with that question all attention shifted to Amelia, who blinked before she looked around, noticing everyone looked at her expectantly, and it made her slightly nervous. Idea, huh? The half-elf rubs her cheek nervously before steeling herself, her mind quickly trying to find a solution for this situation, other than killing those children of course. She's still troubled and really shocked that Aaron suggested such a thing, and she will talk to him about that after this, but for now. Beatrice said. She gulped before taking a breath to soothe her nervousness. Beatrice said, what currently affects those children is like a curse and needs a trigger to be active. So all we need to do is capture or kill the caster. Reasonable and acceptable solution. Aaron said while nodding in approval. But where's the caster and how do we find them? That's... Amelia quickly racked her brain once again, trying to find the answer, Aaron's demanding gaze also not helping as it made her panic a bit for a moment. We can. She paused and became unsure what to say. Aaron only stared at her patiently, waiting for her answer, and... We can use Ram. She blurted. A silence appeared in the room after that declaration. Everyone, sans Amelia, slowly turned to the pink-haired one who seemed to be unfazed and looking back at them. Then they slowly turned back to Amelia, who was fidgeting in her seat, and inwardly berated herself. What was she thinking? Blurting random things like that, great, just... that... could work. Aaron said after a moment of silence, his eyes momentarily drifted back to Ram before returning to Amelia. It could. Amelia blinked in surprise. Indeed it could. Puck commented with an approving voice. Ram specializes in wind magic and she also has her clairvoyant ability, she can easily track someone down if she wants to. He turned to Amelia with a praising look. Good idea, as expected from Yuya. No, that was pure coincidence. Beatrice, Ram and Rem thought simultaneously with dull faces. Indeed, that was a good suggestion. Aaron agreed with him. But at the same time it does not solve our problem. He said with a sigh, we can't have Ram go out by herself just like that, and neither can we let her stay in the village. The caster can activate the curse from far away if they wish to. He explained to the half-elf. Besides, these 2 days while I was unconscious Ram and Rem were already patrolling around the village but found nothing strange, right? What if that cultist has another party involved? What if they hire a third person that acts as an informant instead of coming here by themselves? That was a good point. Aaron is right, there's a chance such a thing happened. Amelia feels her stomach twisted, she can't find a valid argument to respond to that one. She stares at Aaron, trying to find any clue just what happened to him or what was in his mind, but she can't find any. The blonde only gazes at her with the same blank face and it hurts her more to see him like this. Something is clearly wrong. Aaron would never. I suppose. Aaron breaks the ice with a small sigh. For your first argument you did good, Emmy. He said in a slight praising manner, a small smile crossed to his face. Next time though, don't think you've won so quickly, rather use that time to think more about your words before speaking them aloud. The half-elf gaped at the blonde, shocked by the sudden change of his demeanor. Her mind began to comprehend what just happened before she felt her right eye twitch. You did this on purpose. She accused him indignantly. Did I? Aaron asked innocently. Aaron. The holy sword wielder let out a small laugh at the sight of the half-elf pouting face. This made her glare at him intensify, albeit it only served to amuse him further, judging by his laugh that was getting louder. Stop laughing. Amelia whined with a red face. Aaron, you're bobo-line. That made the young blonde stop laughing and blinked. What's the meaning of that? He asked. It means dull head, Aaron Sama. Rem supplied. It is, admittedly, an old term. She added. I see. He nodded. An insult using old language, as expected from a girl that looks like an old hag. What? Amelia squawked angrily. I'm not old. Really? You talk like one sometimes, Emmy, and clumsy like one too. I'm not. Really? The half-elf glared at him, but the young man only smiled like a gentleman to her. She huffed her cheeks and turned away from him with, humph. This man. He is really able to become annoying when he wants to. Anyway, I'm going to visit the village soon. Aaron said, changing the topic. I want to see how everyone, I'm sure they worried seeing me unconscious like that, so. Are you sure, Aaron? Amelia asked in concern. I mean, you just recover and... I already ate this much. He gestured to the empty plates around him. If I can, then clearly I'm already fine enough. He chuckled. I will go in the next hour, does anyone want to come with me? Rem will come with you. Rem said instantly. Rem has to buy new stocks for our foods. Ah. Did I just empty the last one? Aaron asked, he sounded sheepish and slightly guilty. No, we still have a lot, but Rem thought that it might be better to buy now since Aaron-sama is finally awake. The maid replied. And Rem also will be there in case something happens to Aaron-same. The blonde has a feeling the real reason for her to go to the village is actually the second rather than the first. Suit yourself, we will go in the next half hour. He turned to everyone. Well, I guess that's all I want to say, other than that I also want to say thank you. He smiled here, his expression looked genuine and warm. Thank you for taking care of me in the last few days. Well, I can't just let you die, right? Lia will be sad. And if that girl is sad, Bubby will be sad as well, and Betty doesn't want him to be sad. You're my friend Aaron, of course I will help you, no need to thank me. Indeed, and as maid, it is Rem's duty to treat Aaron-sama who is an honored guest here. They reply to the grateful words with various expressions, from uncaring and happy. The blonde gave them a smile once again, but it was then he noticed one person still not responding to his word and he turned to her. She stares back at him with a stoic face and she seems don't want to say anything, but she did nonetheless. Like Rem said, as a maid it is Rem's duty to treat Aaron-sama back to his health. She said stoically while bowing to him. Aaron's facial features twitched. Once, a hurtful look crossed in his eyes, but it's gone as soon as it appeared and he nodded to her. Yes. He takes one deep breath before slowly standing. Well, I guess that's all I want to say, Rem, we will meet at the entrance later, okay? Yes, Aaron-sama. With that everyone begins to leave, Ram and Rem go back to resume their duty, Beatrice to her library while carrying a bowl of ice cream, Aaron goes back to his room or somewhere else and Amelia. Amelia stares at Aaron's back and departing figure with a conflicted feeling. She's angry at him, angry that he seems so dismissing about his own health just like that, and she wants to yell at him, but he looks fine and healthy like usual, granted he also looks tired and very troubled, but Amelia can't help but feel the weight in her heart and shoulder lighten slightly at their short banter. Despite the annoyance she got from being teased by him, but it relieves her that Aaron seems fine. He's fine, right, Puck? She asked the cat spirit worriedly. No, he's not. Lia, right now Aaron is as unstable as suicidal man. I can't get much from him because he is too wrecked to be sensible. Puck answered solemnly. Hearing that makes the weight that just lost return with fervor. And also, he's not joking about killing those children, Lia. Puck continued, his eyes also tracing where Aaron moments ago. He's really going to kill them if there's a chance. That did nothing but imbue her worry further as she held her chest and stared at the blonde moment. Aaron. I'm back just after my battle with Beetlejuice. Great. Now he's already stopped moping and feels better, he can think more cleanly and he found that his current situation to be very troubling. He was expecting to return before facing Betelgeuse, or at least when he just returned back to Manor after his scouting. But he returned in less than 24 hours before he faced that monster. It's around 12 in noon, and the assault begins around 4 in the morning. I have only about 15 hours. He really wants to let out a sad laugh. That menace himself is already a creature beyond everything that exists in this fandom, and now this world gives him that short amount of time to deal with that thing. He's going to die again, isn't he? There's nothing he can do to prevent or stop this. Return by death was shit compared to this. Even if he returns from death, what is the point if he returned to less of a second before an axe lodged in his neck? The major weakness and drawback of return by death, you can't decide where you will return, it was random, just like what happened to him now. I should escape from here. Run away from this kingdom, this land, that was the best, no. That was the only option he had if he wanted to survive and go back to his home. Abandon Lugnica, try to search how to go home in another kingdom, this place is as good as dead after all. Alright, the option is clear, run away from this kingdom. Cthulhu is not something that he can beat after all, so the choice is obvious. Now then, how is he going to get out of here? Briefly, his mind wandered to Amelia, Ram, Beatrice and everyone he knew in this land. If he escapes, what is going to happen to them? Does that mean he is going to leave them to die? That idea was enough to make him feel sick. They are his friends, even if he barely know them for months, but they have been nothing but a good people. Perhaps if he went through the same things that Subaru did, he wouldn't hesitate to abandon them, but he didn't experience suffering at the same level like him, and in the manner, his enemy since the beginning is clear, Roswell. Never once Rem, Amelia, Beatrice and Puck have become his enemy or tried to actually harm him. Well, Rem did, but she didn't act on it, and now she has become docile enough. So the thought of abandoning them are. And yet, does it matter? He's going to do that anyway in the end. He's going to leave and go back to his world after everything is done. So what would matter if he fastened the pace? Why would it be a bother? But it is different, isn't it? When he's going to leave them, he will make sure they are ready. He will ensure they would have a happy life, or at least know how to take the world with a smile, and even if they died midway they would die happy or content, at least instead of despairing. That is the vow he took when he decided to enter Amelia's camp and to use them for his own gain, the promise he made to himself to remind him of his real nature in the first place. It was safe to say that despite how cheerful and normal they behave, but Amelia, Rem is mentally damaged. Each of them have their own scar inside their heads. Amelia, who's having very low self-esteem like Rem, having her real memory blocked, and in reality is having the mindset of a girl that is barely out of her prepubescent age. Rem, whose existence solely depends on each other and only view the world narrowly, only from two directions, their front and back, and that's even still depend on each other's sight, just like how Subaru describes. They all are damaged people, none of them are healthy or fine in a sense despite how civilized and normal they look. As matter of fact, he dares to say that he is the most stable person in this residence. Roswell and Beatrice themselves are also damaged in their own way. And while he doesn't give a shit to that clown, but he does care for Beatrice. He always has a soft spot for children after all. Naturally, his little sister is still the best. Of course he knew that he shouldn't hesitate to abandon them when things come up. He can't afford to turn his back to his goal. No, that will never happen in his life no matter what. But the idea of leaving them right now when there is barely any progress is despicable. But it can't be helped, can it? What do they expect from him? What should he even do? Even Reinhardt himself is no match, then what about him? He is only a young man who barely knows how to fight. For all his kendo and martial arts training in the past, he never goes beyond basic level. And the world expects him to participate in this madness? Calm down, Aaron, think about it later. Right now you better get ready. He will go to the village soon with Rem. In his last life, he did not go there. As matter of fact, before things went down, Aaron only spent his time in the mansion. He chatted with Amelia and Rem, trying to relax because clearly he deserved that, right? He means, he just survived from facing one of the men that led the craziest group in this world and got himself burned from inside, so. But apparently it is still not enough. The universe still does not like him and decide to throw biggest fuck you to him in form of giant eldritch abomination that would make the witches cry in horror. Then again, it might be his fault in the first place. He should expect things like this in the very first place. Subaru went through Hakugi and Beetlejuice on the same day, so it shouldn't surprise him like that. He shouldn't rest in the first place, not yet. He knew the danger, but he... Slothful, how slothful. Might as well start from the first thing, to the village then and dash. Knock. Knock. He paused his thought when there's knock from his door. The blonde briefly glanced at the clock and found he still had 15 minutes before meeting Rem and went to the village together. Who could it be? He wondered to no one. Yes, wait a moment. He said aloud as he walked to the door, opening it. Emmy? He blinked in slight surprise as he found the half-elf standing in front of his room. Aaron. Inwardly he narrowed his eyes at the tone she used. She sounded very concerned. Her expression also said the same thing. He briefly glanced to the corridor and found no one save for them. Slowly he opened the door wider. Come in, he said as he stepped aside while gesturing to her to enter. The silver-haired half-elf nodded and did so. Aaron closed the door and turned to her, who was now sitting in bed. So Emmy, what do you want to talk about? There's no need any pleasantries. He not in mood, and he doubt Amelia too, judging by her expression, and he also have feeling that she also shares similar sentiment. Aaron. She called him. Sit with me. The blonde tilted his head. I prefer to stand. Sit. She ordered, her gaze firm and her voice strict. We need to talk. He curled his eyebrow, a small mischievous grin crossed to his face. My so demanding, do you want me to kneel over your feet and abide by all your commands, mistress? He asked with a teasing voice. The half-elf in response only blinked. Huh? No, I only want you to sit here. She answered while tapping her side. The pseudo-saber stares at her for a few seconds before he palms his face and sighs. Of course she will miss that kind of joke, despite her Well-endowed body and beautiful appearance, but her mentality is as good as a child. Mentally retarded and in few cases. He thought as he sat on her side. Alright, I'm sitting right now. He stated while looking at her in a nonchalant manner. What do you want to talk about? She stares at him with a look that expresses nothing but worry, then she slowly takes his hand and grasps it. Aaron, are you really okay? The blonde glanced down at their locked hands before shifting his gaze back to the half-elf. Lying would be stupid, Puck can sense my mind, isn't he? He asked back rhetorically. Well, I can't say I'm fine, having that. He paused and shuddered visibly, but at least I can deal with it. No, you're not. She replied, her voice became firm once again. Aaron, even without Puck I can tell that you clearly are not okay. She grips the hand a bit tighter as a gesture of reassurance. I don't know the details of what happened, but you can't push yourself like this, Aaron. He has to hold back, snorting after hearing that. Can't push himself. What he's currently facing is a creature that can swallow this land like a breakfast, for God's sake. He's not pushing himself, not at all. As matter of fact, he actually didn't know what he should do in the first place. It's not good for your health, Aaron, you're being too hard on yourself, maybe you should rest today. He did not respond to her. For a moment he only stared at her directly in the eyes before he slowly removed his hand from her. This is about those children, isn't it? Her flinch was enough to answer his question. Puck must be telling you that I'm serious about killing them. He ruffled his hair while sighing. While he's still unsure what he should do, but thing he has to do is to make sure there's nothing going to threaten the village. He might be going to run away, but he won't leave them to such a horrible fate, no. He is going to dispose of those parasites. No matter what steps he is going to take, be it escape from here or other, he has to make sure those children did not infect the villagers and turn them into those abominations. Are you? She asked, voice hesitate and uncertain. Yes. He answered bluntly, knowing there's no point in lying. I'm serious about killing them. Such a declaration should bother him. He's talking about people's life, moreover a children's life actually, children who are probably not older or only older a few years from his little sister. But it does not. He's not feeling anything, not even a slight remorse, bitterness, or sadness exist in his heart when he thinks about it. As a matter of fact, the thought of their demise actually makes him feel. He stares at her, tears fall and wash over his face. Sobs ragged out from his throat as he cradled the girl's dead body that was disfigured and barely recognizable. He embraced her to seek any warmth, any sign of life and comfort that remained from her as he wailed to the dark sky above him. He screamed as he felt his sanity robbed, as he felt his mind probed and dismembered, as he felt his very existence begin to peel one by one, as if he's some kind of insect that dissected to be studied. All while those kaleidoscope orbs looking at him with dark and horrifying satisfaction, quite satisfied. Don't look at me like that, Emmy. He said when noticed the terrified expression she had. I'm willing to kill them, yes, but I have no intention to go to the village and kill them on the spot. He stated. That was an honest statement. He can't just do such a thing, it will make the village go into confusion and cause commotion as well, something that is absolutely unnecessary. But that doesn't mean he won't though. And he has no intention to tell that to Amelia. Is that what you want to hear, Emmy? He asked while narrowing his eyebrow. If yes, then I have to go now, Rem is probably already waiting for me. No. Amelia's hand instantly grabs him, preventing him from standing. Aaron. Please stop. Stop. Stop what? Stop behaving like everything just fine. She yelled at him. The pseudo-saber recoiled, eyes wide, not expecting the half-elf to yell at him suddenly like that. Aaron, please. She grasped her hand with hers, raising it and bringing herself close to him. Please stop. I can tell you're hurt. I can tell that you're confused. I can tell you're not fine, so please. Her voice low and he can hear it, the plea that resides in there. Please stop pushing yourself. He felt his body trembling, his fist that clenched, shaking more than the other, his face that looked calm and nonchalant started to crack. Then what do you suggest I should do? He asked, voice blank and cold, curling to my knee and trembling in the corner of the room. He already did that. This morning he cried and trembled like a helpless child, but it did not do anything to save for making him look like a pathetic, dull-witted fool, and he really had to feel like that. You can tell me. She said softly, violet eyes locked to his green. I'm your friend, you're not alone, you can tell me, I will help you. Her face shows nothing but comfort, warmth, reassurance, and caring, face that promises relief of pain. But in his eyes, he saw nothing but a girl who was shaking and trembling in fear when they were on their way to the capital. And it makes him realize that the girl in front of him right now is just as broken as him right now. She just doesn't know it. And what is the point of asking for help from someone like that? Is this how Subaru felt? Is this what he feels when he is trying, struggling, and keeps pushing through many deaths, but no one but him knows that the burden that rested in his shoulder is as heavy as the world. I have nothing to say, he replied stoically while closing his eyes so he couldn't see the hurtful look on her face. Slowly he removes his hand from hers and stands. I have to go to the village, he stated as he walked away. He felt her hand once again snake to his wrist, grabbing it and preventing him from walking further. Let go, Emmy, he ordered. She shook her head and forced him to look back at her. Aaron, please. Stop. Just stop. Why are you doing this? She asked in desperation. I don't know what you have in your mind, but you're not thinking clear. You're afraid now, Afraid? His voice became cold like ice, his gaze turned to sharp like a sword. How do you know I'm afraid in the first place? What makes you think I'm afraid? He does. He is afraid, downright terrified as matter of fact, but he refuses to show it. He feels part of him refuses to show such emotion to taint his mind. It's Puck, isn't it? You use him to sense my emotion, he stated, his green eyes narrowed and they momentarily glowing with power. Anger started to grow inside him. You spy in my emotions. No. Amelia denied, feeling horrified at the way he phrased it. I didn't mean it to be like that. Yes, I asked Puck, but what right do you have? His voice turned to a slight growl, snarl crossing his face. He sees her eyes widened, fear slowly entering her face. What right do you have to invade my privacy like that? He was not surprised that Amelia did such a thing, he already expected it. As matter of fact, he sure Amelia did that when they met for the first time, so he was not surprised that she sensed his emotion like that. But it surprised him that he feels so angry at her like this. He feels so angry. He doesn't know why, and logic actually says he shouldn't be angry. Amelia is not wrong here. Had he placed in her position, he would have done the same. As a matter of fact, didn't she just admit a moment ago that she indeed asked Puck to check on him regarding his emotions about those children? So why is he so angry that she exposed him like this? Why? He yanked his arm from her. He controlled his emotion easily, turning the angry face to cold and stony. He stared at her, who took unconscious step back. We're done here, he declared icily. Talk to me again later. I have to go to the village now. No. Amelia yelled and took a step forward, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. We're not done. Aaron. I did not mean to do that. I'm just trying to help you. This is not what she wishes to happen. She did not come here to demean her or have the entire conversation become something like this. Not to her, her friend. Her only friend. And while I appreciate your help, I don't need it. Lie. He needs it. He needs all the help he can get, but they can't. They can't do a thing for him. No one can. No one in this world can. And if he tried to tell them, then only death waiting for them. Part of his despairing and raging mind noted that this is exactly what Subaru went through, and this only increased his respect further to the boy. I can handle it perfectly fine. You meanwhile dash. No, you can't. She shouted at his face, her hands gripping the collar of his coat, and tears rolled from her eyes. You almost die, Aaron. You almost die. She cried, her scream was mixed with choked sobs. Don't you realize it? You almost died last night and this morning. By spirit, Aaron, this morning you were screaming like. Her words went unfinished as she buried her face to his chest, her body trembling and shaking, muffled sobs escaping from her throat as she cried on his shirt, like a child terrified. He almost died. That was wrong. That was very, very wrong. It wasn't almost. He truly died. He died a few hours ago. And it was not painless or quiet, it was. He stares at the blackened grounds that sputter lava and fire beneath his feet, his eyes scanning every single inch of the destroyed land. He raises his head, to get a better view. There's places that are still untouched, houses that remain despite already falling, flags that are still touched by the air. And he grinned at the sight, knowing that there is still more to destroy. His grin turned to a leer of mockery as he opened his mouth and burned the world. Hell. Never once he thought that he died truthfully. All that crossed in his mind is the terror, horror and torture that the sleeper gave to him. He did not feel like dying actually, rather it was almost like he was tortured and tormented endlessly. He felt like he was trapped in hell for hundreds of years through that one death. Scream. So many screams. Women, children, men, old. All of them screaming and shrieking. Terror and horror is the only expression that adorning their faces, even the bravest one shaking and trembling. He allows himself to laugh in a guttural manner at the delicious sight before him. Then he opened his mouth and let out deadly breath that turned all those screams into nothing but ash. Death. Death seems so sweet and kind compared to... I'm sorry, Aaron. I'm sorry. I never mean to. Her sobs and choked voice brought him out from his stupor. Looking down, he realized that the half-elf now already wrapped him in a hug and he, himself, also returned it with his own, and he also noticed that his hands were trembling badly. It's okay. No. It is not. It never is. It is never okay ever since he awoke after his fight against Betelgeuse. When he wakes up and realizes just how close he is to die, everything is not okay but... What else can he say? Emmy. His voice is no longer hard or like a growl, but it's not soft either, it's just... plain. Emmy. He did grab her chin softly though, tilting her head upward so he could look directly into her eyes. It's okay, I'm no longer mad at you so stop crying, gods look at your face, puffy and red like this. He murmured as he wiped the tears with his hand and caressed her wet face gently. Look, what you did. It is wrong but also not, it is necessary and I understand your situation. Trust me, I would do the same thing if I were in your position. Ah really? What was she? A 5-year-old brat? Yes. He sighed as he gripped her shoulder and pushed her a bit. Sometimes we have to do the wrong thing to get the result that is good for everyone, just like what you did. She flinched at that. Aaron, I never intended to do that. She muttered. I know, they don't look so gloomy, I know. He pinched the bridge of his nose. His mind calmed down somewhat. I will be honest, Emmy, under any normal circumstance I won't be angry at you but... He did not need to finish his words, he knew that she was aware of what he's trying to say. He almost has no problem with it by this point frankly. We will talk again later okay? For now, let's think about each other and what we are going to say next time we talk, He paused, hesitating to utter the words that he intended to say but nonetheless he pushed himself. This isn't only for her but his own self as well. I don't want us to fight like that again. He murmured. She is his friend and he knows she is not completely at fault, he doesn't want to fight because of such petty things. He knew it was his emotion that controlled him a moment ago and he can't let such a thing happen, it's going to undo all the hard work he has done. Ram alone is already enough, no need to add Amelia to that list. Okay. She murmured back as she rested her face to his chest again, seeming bask in his presence, as if he would be gone any moment. I'm sorry. She apologized again. I'm sorry too. I shouldn't react like that, you have a very good reason after all. He said with a sigh as he patted the girl on the back comfortingly. Anyway, I have to go now, I want to see Ken, Luca, Petra and the others. He told her as he pushed her gently. And no, I'm not going to kill those children right away. Later, of course, he will see what he can gain from them first before chopping their heads. I just want to visit the village. I know. She smiled kindly at him while wiping her eyes. You're not that kind of person after all. That almost like a knife plunged to his chest directly. If only she knew just how damn much he want to chop those children heads. And on another note Aaron notices how he and Amelia now practically cradling each other, with her hand wrapping to his waist while the other wrapping around his stomach. He, himself has his hand on her waist while the other on her shoulder. And her smell. Amelia clearly smells goods, he doesn't know what she uses, probably some kind of herbs and plants, for her perfume but damn, this girl really knows how to present herself. Or rather, Puck knows how to present someone. He quickly, and carefully to not give her the wrong idea, untangle himself from her, not wanting to raise any awkward moment between them. He coughs aloud to avert her attention. I will see you later then. Yeah, sure. The smile she shot at him was beatific, warm, and angelic even. But it did not reassure his heart, rather it only gave him more pain as he did not see her smiling, rather she looked at him with a hurtful shocked face as she saw him abandon everything they have and run away. He tries to keep uncaring and stoic. But the way his fists and shoulders trembled. He knew that was completely useless. Just like himself right now. Useless. Eren-sama, are you alright? Despite knowing the answer she still asks it because she knew he wanted to hear that, she knew he wanted to know that someone cares about him. For the 6th time I'm fine REM. He answered, his voice now finally laced with slight annoyance and exasperation. But she can tell there's a hint of gratitude in there, and his mood now becomes better than before, even if it is only small and gone as quick as it bloomed, but it doesn't matter. Rem is glad that she is able to help him. Why do you keep asking that? Seriously. Well, Eren-sama looks so sullen, even if Eren-sama tries to hide it. She answered with a smile, and we can't have that now, can we? What would Petra-chan, Lukaku-kun and everyone else would say if they see their hero finally awake but look better when he's asleep? His lips curled down to a slight scowl and his shoulders sagged a bit. Do I look that bad? He asked. Eren-sama looks handsome like always. She answered instantly and she was blessed by a slight pink hue marking his cute and handsome face. It just, Eren-sama seems too rigid. Too rigid? Yes, though Rem doubts others will notice, but given enough time they will. A lie actually, Eren is very good at covering his emotions, even though she is barely able to tell his state. The only reason she is able to is because she has seen the real Eren Pendragon, the one who is vulnerable and open, she was there and she never forgot them. Had she not, she also won't be able to tell that something is not right with him. And even so, many times it was hard to read him, right now she only can tell he is not fine because perhaps he did not try to hide it, at least not completely masking it. If he did then, she won't be able to tell as well. She lies to him like this so he can start to carry himself better, to make himself feel better, she doesn't want to see him like this after all. Well, then I guess I should stop moping and think forward, huh? He asked himself before he visibly blanched. I'm not looking forward to it. And just like that, she knew something is obviously wrong, things was wrong before but this is on another level, and she found her heart aching with invisible pain for a moment. Wasn't it him who told her to look at the future? To open her eyes and look forward instead of trapping herself in her dark past. But here he's now. Telling her that he doesn't want to look forward to the future. Someone as strong, as amazing, and as wonderful as him. Pulling back his words as easily as that. Whatever that broke him. Whatever that hurt him. Is worse than she thought. Eren-sama. What should she say here? What should she do to make him feel better? She doesn't know. She doesn't know. But as he turned to her with the nonchalant face but eyes that look haunted and tired, she only can offer one thing. Smile. Rem believes in Eren-sama, no matter what. But she knows that one way or another, he will bounce back. That he will find a way. No matter what. Eren Pendragon is not someone who will go down with a whimper after all, she had seen that personally, if he goes down, it will be with a roar and fight. He won't give up. He will try to find a way no matter what. She believes in that. His face is confronted with conflicted expressions, a mixture of guilt, hurt, and sadness, but there's also gladness, joy, and happiness. In the end what surfaced is a smile, empty and fake but the way his eyes shone for a moment, it showed her that he truly appreciated what she just said. Thank you REM. You're welcome Eren-sama. She said, replying his empty smile with a real one. It is enough for now. She will stand at his side no matter what, and she will believe in him, for he is someone that has opened her eyes to the world, someone that has created a new path for her to walk. They both continue their journey in silence after that. They already can see the entrance of the village from this distance, they will reach the place soon. Eren-sama, you're awake. The blonde allowed a small smile to cross his face. Well, I'm standing in front of you now, am I? The boy gives him a big and wide grin. That's cool. I know you will be fine. You're just sleeping after all. And now you have already returned to kicking ass. Before he could respond to him, the boy got his head smacked from behind by his friend. Language. And you shouldn't say such a thing to Aaron-sama, he just recovered after all. Petra said before she turned to the man. You're fine now, right Aaron-sama? Are you still tired? It takes everything he has to not hug the girl while crying when he sees her alive and well, but he manages to hold back his emotion out of his control, able to prevent himself from cradling the girl. He smiled at her charmingly, patting the girl sitting closely on his side tenderly. I'm fine Petra, thank you for asking. He utterly fails to try not getting close so he can keep an eye on her though. The reddish-brown-haired girl blushed under his touch and she visibly preening at his words. You're welcome Aaron-same. She murmured in a dreamy and shy voice. Normally he will be bothered by the way Petra acts, she is 12 after all and he is 18, the age difference is quite big and having someone that young crushing on him is a bit awkward. However right now such a thing did not cross his mind, not at all, even if Petra right now practically snuggled on him he didn't bother at all. He is just happy and glad to see her alive and well, smiling and still talking. He will never forget her disfigured and half-melted corpse for his whole life. And Luca, Petra is right as well about your language. He lectured the boy who was rubbing his head. It is considered not polite and proper to use crass words like that. But Ken and the other adults are using it too. Luca whined. Well yes they did, and I won't say you can't use them, you can but do that in the right place and right time. He said, like when not in the presence of women or ladies. He patted Petra again who looks like currently living in her sweetest dream. They consider them to be rude and unattractive. I don't care about silly girls. Luca replied in an uncaring way. Well Emmy surely will. That got the boy attention judging by how he froze as if he just got encased by ice from bottom to top. Emilia-sama will never like you. Petra let out an unlady snort. Seriously Luca, your dream of chasing him is as naught as a monkey trying to touch the moon. Wow. Talk about harsh. And what makes it sad is that it was absolutely true. Aaron thought with a grimace inwardly. Shut up. Luca shouted indignantly, face red. How about you? You dash. Before he can say anything else Petra leaped from him and tackled the boy, clasping his mouth and preventing him from talking, her face becoming redder than before. Be quiet. She hissed at him, glaring to his eyes directly. We agree to never talk about it when one of us is in front of one of them. You just said about mine. You're very obvious, everyone save for her already knows about it. They do realize that I'm here right? He asked no one with slight amusement as he stared at both of them who looked about to throttle each other. Seriously, it's almost like watching an opera. That amusement died when he remembered what was about to happen tomorrow and he felt his smile slip down as dread started to gnawing inside him. God he tried. It's not like he wants to keep depressed or things like that. He tried, he really did but... It's just... No matter how he tries to forget or banish those horrible memories away he can't. It is always there, lingering in the back of his mind, haunting him every time he tries to look past it. Knowing his thoughts start to descend to a bad place once again he quickly distracts himself, again, and starts to think about everything this far. Those children. They were in one of house that unused, resting and treated in there, still unconscious and sleep in peaceful manner, oblivious to the terror that they will bring to this village. He was so tempted to kill the children, oh the temptation was so strong. He's sure if he see them directly he would draw Excalibur and murder them right where they are sleeping, thankfully he's still not seeing them since he knew that would happen. When he arrives in this village his first priority is to ask about those children, then after that he goes looking for Petra and the others, wanting to see them once again just to make sure they were there. And while he is doing that Rem goes to buy food and drink supplies. Might as well start from now. He thought as he cleared his throat, making Petra and Luca cease their banter. Luca, Petra, if I may ask, is there something happening around here? He asked. I mean, some unusual activity like a fight or things like that. He elaborated when noticing the confused look he got. Well, nothing strange happened Aaron-sama. Luca answered, things are pretty much boring like usual. Is that so? Oh there is something Aaron-sama. Petra informed him eagerly. This morning there's a pair of merchants coming to the village, bringing supplies from the capital. That instantly caught his attention. Merchants? Yes. Ah. Luca bopped his fist to his palm. The sick-looking Wani-san and Oni-san. The sick-looking? He blinked. That is a weird description. Yeah, both of them look so pale, like they are about to fall over any time. Luca explained while placing both hands on the back of his head, though the Wani-san seems very cheerful despite her looks more ill while the Onii-san who looks healthier always seems tired. Is that so? Merchant huh? He feels like he is forgetting something important. Something that he missed. Other than bringing supply from the capital, what else dash? Come on. Come on. Come and buy it. Buy 3 flowers and you are free to pick one. Buy 6 apps and you are free to get one. A voice cut him from continuing to ask. It made him pause because the voice was strangely very familiar. He slowly turned around and granted by sight he never expected. She is no longer wearing dark and red frilly dress. They were replaced by sleeveless and a dark red sundress topped by green cardigan. She is also wearing a straw hat while carrying a basket that holds her product. And as if she is aware that someone is looking at her as she slowly turns to him, and her blue eyes blinking when caught sight of him, the same thing also occurs to him as he hardly believes what he just sees. Aaron-san, is that you? She called from afar and began to approach him. He blinked again to make sure his eyes got him right. Sick-looking Wani-san. Well, given her appearance he can't blame Luca for calling her that. She did look like going to collapse any time after all with her pale skin and everything. Hello Tear-san. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.